Hello, hello, hello! You are back listening to My Digital Diary. This is Ellie Michael, your host, and here's episode 7. Wow, we are really just going off with this podcast. I am not stopping. The train is still chugging. Let's go. So, this week has been honestly really good. I made a big decision in my life that I have seen through God's grace and mercy was the right decision. And I had an idea as to what this episode would be about, but then I remembered that this is Teacher Appreciation Week. So for those of you listening, it has just ended. But every week should be Teacher Appreciation Week, just like it should be Firefighter Appreciation Week, nurses, all the different types of professions. Like, everyone should be appreciated every single day. So, but I figured that we could use this episode to dedicate to teachers and really everyone who works in the schools and plays a part in shaping the future of America. So, let's get into it. First, we'll start with my expanding my taste segment. Now, this happened today. Along with Teacher Appreciation Week, we have food that is catered to our school. And I thought, what a better time than now to try new food. So, I will say, this audio I'm going to show you is not great. I am not having a good time. Straight up not having a good time. But I want to start with some funnier audio. This is, if I can find it, me trying some different types of ice cream. It was really yummy. Spoiler alert.
Similar. Yeah. Aren't they? Blood orange sorbet. I could be wrong. They don't think it's just fruit, right? And like a water mixture. Or
So it's sugar, glucose.
yeah. Right, it's sorbet. There's no
So that was me trying. I didn't really give much of a verbal reaction. Shout out to my 2 friends that are in that video. You know who you are. That was me trying blood orange sorbet. It was very tangy, but it was good. Probably wouldn't have it again. Let's see what the other flavors are.
This is why I can't eat these. Remember, like, so, I'm like, sorry. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Hey, we all have our thing. Yeah, we have it. It's like lemon cheesecake almost. I got some big guys to my finger.
Oh yeah, that was lemon ice cream.
Like, I'm gonna be here for an hour. I'm gonna try it on. And this is got their thing. Oh wait, can I try yours? Oh. She said, "Oh, that's good." Oh, she's hurting. Oh, how much of this is gonna make it? This is really good. Better than I thought it was gonna be. So you have olive oil on bottom? Yeah. I'm super curious about bottom. I would have never. Oh, yeah, kinda. I would have never wanted to even try that before. I don't like that. It's just not a lot to it. Right. That's why I like it. That would be good. There's something about that. I wonder what that versus vanilla would, how the difference is. Like the olive oil, it's almost the same. Would be.
Not the breadcrumbs.
So without this play, hey, is it personal or not really? Yeah. Okay. I don't like any other stew.
Okay, so I tried the blood orange sorbet. That I would give a 3 out of 10. I tried mine. I got was buttermilk ice cream with Oreo crumble on top. That was amazing. I would give that an 8 out of 10. The Lemon ice cream was also really good. I'll give that one an 8 out of 10. Dude, they had olive oil ice cream. I was like almost not gonna try it, but I was like, girl, you have to try it. It was really good. Like, I felt so sophisticated eating it. So I'll give that one a 7 out of 10, only because it wasn't quite as flavorful as the other ones. But I felt very demure eating olive oil ice cream. So crazy. And then this is me trying a sub sandwich for the first time.
You like tomatoes?
I don't know.
She doesn't know.
I don't know if I like any of this. So
You never had any of this?
I've had lettuce.
You never had a tomato?
So
All of that looks delicious by the tomato.
it's wheat bread, roast beef, cheese, pickles, banana peppers, tomato, mayonnaise. You put anything else? Okay. My fear is that I'm gonna never stop throwing up once I think about this. How do I eat this? It's all falling out.
Did you record it?
No, I'm recording right now. That's why I'm narrating.
Oh, that was for us. Yeah, I'm sure it's fun.
Probably gonna all go back on my plate.
Right. That's with the tomato.
Oh, right there.
And then
I'm used to things having one flavor. So this is gonna be
so
I'm gonna like be mad at me if I spit this out.
yes.
Mm.
There's so much making stuff.
Mm.
Okay, we'll bite it.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Chew for 5 seconds at least. There's some flavors you like.
Mm. Oh. Off my tongue.
Flavor.
Oh. Mm.
You bring it out.
Yes, it did.
Lot of chocolate.
Yeah, it sucked. It was so bad. 0 out of 10. There was nothing that was redeeming about that sandwich at all. Hated the banana peppers. Hated the tomato. Hated the pickles. Mayonnaise, all of it. So gross. Yuck. Cannot stand any of that stuff. So, yeah, but I'm branching out. And at least now I know for sure I don't like sub sandwiches. Like, I know there's lots of ways you can make them, but like, lettuce, tomato, mayo are pretty big staples, and I don't like that. So yeah, now I know. I knew I wouldn't like it. So, but yeah, let's go into the breaking news segment of this podcast. So, I really want to highlight Teacher Appreciation Week and take some time to recognize some statistics on it and just like the lasting impact that education has on America. So, teachers play such a pivotal role in society. I made a post today, actually, I'm pretty sure, maybe yesterday, that said, teachers create all jobs. You cannot go through life without having a teacher and be successful in anything. Even if you drop out of high school, you still need the teachers who came before to teach you how to read and write. Even if you don't go to college, even if you go to tech school, you're still going to be taught by somebody. And every job you have, there are people that train you, and that's a type of teaching. Um, and lots of schools, like military, you have to learn how to do all that stuff. And so I just, teaching first grade currently, um, being the main person who gets to watch kids go from only knowing their letters to learning how to read, honestly, like that has been my favorite part of education as a whole. Um, they're no longer in books that are repetitive. They are really able to read. They know a lot of sight words. They can decode words by using their phonics rules. Being the teacher that teaches kids how to read has just really felt like, wow, I'm changing the world one kid at a time. Every kid that learns how to read in my classroom, that's a future citizen of America who is contributing to their society, who is changing the world. And I don't know, that's just been a really cool experience for me, and it weighs really heavy on my heart knowing, there's always going to be some who leave my classroom not knowing how to read. And I don't know, I always try to keep tabs on those kids throughout, their grades after their me, just because I don't know, I worry. And being someone who does love to read, I think that's why reading is such a near and dear thing to my heart. But genuinely, I mean, it's a very practical skill. Like, everyone has to have it in order to participate in society. Like, you can't even read road signs without knowing how to read. So, anyway, the emotional side of it, it takes a lot of social and emotional labor. It's not like a physically demanding job, but it is definitely a job where you get decision fatigue and you just hear your name over and over and over again. They're very needy. You can have everything planned to a T, but you don't plan in that so-and-so is going to lose their tooth, or so-and-so is going to get a bloody nose, or so-and-so's parent called and they're going to pull them out of school, like, or you're going to get a new kid. Like, you just always have to be on your feet because these kids are so unpredictable. And yeah, so it's a tough job. It's very, like, to me personally, it is the most important job because it creates all other jobs. But it's also, like, I'm not going to say it's the hardest job. I think that's pretty cocky to say, but it is very difficult. I cry a lot because of being a teacher, and I think it's just so multifaceted. Like, you don't just have one, like, okay, you do have one role title, but underneath that job title, there's like 17 hats you have to wear. Like, okay, so-and-so came in smelling like meth, so you need to hotline them, and then you need to follow up on that hotline and get it to the right people. And then so-and-so bonked his head really hard on the playground. I have to go, get an ice pack and put it on and make sure to, check for signs for a concussion. And there's the little girl that comes up to you and says, I don't know what we're going to do for Christmas this year because my family doesn't have enough money for Christmas. And you hug her as she's crying. And then, you get to the part where you actually teach. And and then there's all the different places. They all come from a different place. Some can't even count to 10 in English because they only know in Spanish. And then there's some who already know all their multiplication facts and everyone in between. And so it is really tough. And part of the reason I'm leaving, actually, I kind of made this connection today, is because I would like to just have one job title. And I genuinely like can focus on one strength that I have. And I have two different opportunities. One of them is probably going to be the job that I have next year. And both of them they're a little bit more narrow when it comes to their job title and their responsibilities. And so I'm looking forward to really narrowing down my tasks and really honing in and perfecting or, growing in an area where I feel like I can actually be successful, because teaching is very much, you have 17 plates in the air and they're all spinning, and if you drop one, it breaks, and then, there's consequences with that. And so it feels like you can't really excel in anything because you have too much going on. It reminds me a lot of motherhood. I feel like motherhood's the same way, which I'm not a mother, but just talking to a lot of mothers, like, there's the housework, there's the, growing a child, the different phases of child development, there's, scheduling doctor's appointments. It's like you're a secretary, you're a maid, you're a mom, you're a nurse, you're a cheerleader, you're the driver, you're all these different things, and then you might have a job on top of that. And I feel like it's definitely similar with teaching. You have all these different job titles, and it feels like if you could just choose one and really hone in on it and get good at it, that would be more beneficial. So, yeah, I'm hoping that whichever job I get chosen for, that is my reality. That I get to just kind of sharpen one area of my skill set. So, I'm pulling quotes from two books. There's one called The Death and Life of the Great American School System, and that is written by Diane Ravitch. And then there's also The Teacher Wars by Dana Goldstein. So, I'm going to be pulling from both of those books today. So, the challenges that teachers face, like everything I just talked about, it's nothing new. So Dana Goldstein writes in The Teacher Wars, there's a problem when we're creating a job you can't do if you have kids. And honest to God, that's a big reason why I'm leaving too, is because I can't imagine a life where I am a teacher who wants to create this magical place for them where learning is fun and, they're safe and they can fail and try again. And, that takes a lot of effort and time and creativity. And having that job, but then also going home and doing the same thing at home for my own kids. I would never want my biological kids to feel like I was putting my students above them ever. And so, those unrealistic expectations placed on teachers, and often those are women, we're expected to sacrifice our personal lives for public service and for somebody else's kids. And it's, back in the 19th century, the reformer Catherine Beecher, one of teaching's earliest advocates, she believed that a lady should study not to shine, but to act. The heart must have something to rest upon, and if it's not God, it will be the world. So she kind of talks about teaching as though it's this very humble profession. It's to be in the wings and let other people shine, and that the heart must rest upon God in order to do all of this. And that's definitely the truth. I came into teaching with the wrong mindset. I was like, I'm in charge, it's my classroom, it's my stage, they all watch me, and, life is great. And that's just not, that is not it. It is, you have to humble yourself and remind yourself that this is not for your own personal gain. It's not for anything except, to educate these children, which President Lyndon B. Johnson, he quoted, education is the only valid passport from poverty. And, that's what I was talking about. Without knowing how to read, you can't get anywhere in life. You have a calculator in your phone. If you know how to solve mathematical problems with a calculator, that can get you far. But until we come up with these glasses that will just read everything out loud to you that you look at, you really can't succeed in anything without knowing how to read. And the promise that education is going to be this ticket out, it's not a simple roadmap from not knowing how to read to knowing how to read to being successful. It's tough because it seems like standardized tests have become the holy grail, the end-all be-all of education. Funding is controlled by these state test scores. And to me, I have learned over the years that data has to be seen as neutral. It cannot be emotionally charged as positive or negative, at least in education, because data is just information. Information is this is what I tell my kids. If you do poorly on this test, am I going to think you're a bad person? No. Am I going to be frustrated with you? No. This test data tells me what you know after I've taught you. It's neutral. All it does is change what I'm going to do next. Am I going to reteach or am I going to enrich? That's all I'm looking for. And so to think that a school must submit their standardized testing scores to this government, you would think the government would look at these scores and say, wow, this school is really struggling. We need to get them some extra help. Or this school's doing really great. Maybe they can teach other schools what they're doing to make these scores so great. No, it is, oh, you did well? Here's $20,000 of more funding. Oh, you didn't do so well? We're going to take away $10,000. And yeah, that's someone's stipend or that's half of someone's salary. You know what I mean? It is wild. And so to think of a school being run with this test being the heart, I just think of it as the middle, the heart of all these gears that are shifting and turning, and the standardized testing is in the middle, and it's we're all working toward this goal of getting good scores on the end of the year test. And when that is the goal, it definitely becomes a rat race. It becomes, what can we do to get from point A to point B? And that might be teaching to the test. It might be not giving other schools the resources that we have because we want us to be seen as better than them. We're stepping on one another for these test scores. We're doing away with things that are not directly tied to these test scores. We're not prioritizing things that are what's best for students and teachers. And so Ravitch, she says in her book, can teachers successfully educate children to think for themselves if teachers are not treated as professionals who think for themselves? And so these policies that are only written to supposedly produce good test scores restrain teachers rather than empower them. It says, accountability makes no sense when it undermines the larger goals of education. Sometimes the most brilliant and intelligent minds do not shine in standardized tests because they do not have standardized minds. And we've talked a lot in society about neurodivergence and how neurodivergent minds are outside the box, and we haven't changed the box to include them. And anymore, neurodivergence is kind of becoming the norm. And it's just tough when you're running toward this goal that you know other kids are running in the opposite direction, and you're grabbing them and you're just you have them on your back and you're trying to run with them and do the running for them, and it's just not working because you can't be the one that takes the test for them. You can teach them how to take the test, you can basically teach them the answers, but that's not going to get the results that, you can't take the test for them. They still have to do it on their own. And this says, testing is not a substitute for curriculum and instruction. Good education cannot be achieved by a strategy of testing children, shaming educators, and closing schools. Education is a public good, not a private commodity. It is a fundamental right, not a privilege. These lines that have been drawn because of funding and testing, it really has turned classrooms into data labs instead of learning communities. And because education is public, it's these public schools that are the ones that are driven by these standardized tests. Private schools get their funding from the families that send their kids there. And so they have the privilege of going to a school where teachers can write the curriculum. And they've been empowered to create a learning community in their classroom. But not everyone has that privilege. And to restrain the teachers so much in these public schools where for a lot of people, this is the only option they have. It's tough. And so I wish more administrators remembered that teachers are not just implementers of policy. They are mentors, they are caregivers, and agents of democracy. As Dana Goldstein concludes, students will be built more upon the expertise of the best teachers than on our fears of the worst teachers. This is how we will achieve an end to teacher wars. So, really, honoring teachers the most, the way to appreciate teachers the most, is to give them respect, resources, and trust. And so, that's, if you're not in education, you may not really know what all is going on. But it's tough, And is it a noble profession? Absolutely. I am not against teachers. I absolutely love teaching. I just cannot put myself through the straight up agony that is teaching. And people say, you might like it in a different school or a different district. And everything changes when administration changes, when your teaching partners change, when your students change. Everything can change like that. And I just don't like that uncertainty. And I understand, like, that's the case for a lot of different places to work. But I've seen some pretty drastic differences in how schools have been run and what types of students are there and what types of parents, what types of resources. And genuinely, I don't know. I'm just tired. I'm honestly kind of tired of talking about it. I'm tired of living it. And I'm ready to figure out who Ellie is. And I think I'm getting to know her. I think I'm slowly, little bit by little bit, living who Ellie is. But I'm excited to be free of this identity that is Miss Michael. And I get to live as Ellie. And just, have a job that I work for 7 hours but I still get to be me in that job. Right now, I feel like I'm a completely different person when I'm teaching, and I think it's messed with me. I think that it really has made me look at myself different, and I just. I'm not cut out for what teaching has become. And I know people argue that, yeah, you get your summers off, you get breaks off. Like, I don't really know why you're complaining. And absolutely, I mean, one of the jobs that I might get would have me working the summers. And I understand people are berated by their bosses all the time and, you know, or berated by their customers. I just, and I'm not saying one is harder than the other, but just thinking about, I heard this the other day. Teaching is such an isolating job. You're in your classroom by yourself with 20 to 30 students, and anything could happen in there. And anything does happen in there. And it's even more isolating than just you by yourself. Because me by myself, I can listen to music, I could listen to a podcast, I could think, But this is like, it's a lot like, motherhood. If you're a stay-at-home mom, it's very isolating and chaotic, and so I'm ready to feel like more a part of society and possibly working with more adults. But like I have hope that there are some schools that are amazing to work for. And I have hope that there are teachers out there who are doing their best, who are filled up every single day by the Lord or by whatever gets them through. And these kids are being blessed, and these kids are being guided and loved on. I don't have it in me anymore. And it's sad, but I'm looking forward to what comes next. Here are some ways that you can support a teacher in your life. Obviously, sending them an encouraging text, maybe some of their favorite things. One way, genuinely, that is like the best way to help a teacher friend is offering to volunteer in their classroom. It's never happened to me, but if I could have an extra set of hands, that, like, I've had work study students before, and like high schoolers that come and like tutor my kids. It is life-changing. I couldn't do half of the stuff I did this school year if it wasn't for my work study student. So she's amazing. My tutoring student really helped my kids with their sight words. So just having someone to help for a day, for a few hours, like, that means more than anything to me. And then just, being an advocate, learning about educational policy and how it works with funding, and, being an advocate with how you vote, being an advocate by, calling representatives, signing petitions, whatever you feel comfortable with. Just being a voice, because, yeah, you may not be a teacher, but one day you probably will have kids, and you're going to care a heck of a lot more what's going on in these schools once you start having kids and you're putting them in school. So do what you can now. Every day is a chance to advocate for a student or a teacher who is then advocating for a student. And, our schools deserve to be well-funded and well-resourced and well-staffed by people who are emotionally stable enough to get the job done. So, there's also campaigns and websites that you can look into to support teachers. There's Donors Choose, and I think Adopt a Classroom, they're both the same. They're like big fundraising pages where you can go and look at these. Basically, they're like a grant. They'll have like what their project is, and they'll list all the things that they need for the project. Just donate money toward them. So things like that are super helpful as well. If someone has a teacher wish list, buying something off their teacher wish list is super nice. So every little bit is super appreciated, because, just knowing that people outside of education genuinely care is just encouraging. And if you're a friend of mine who's not in education and hears about me venting about education, 3 more weeks, baby. Well, actually, by the time you're listening to this, 2 more weeks of school. Then you will never hear me complain about teaching ever again. That's so crazy to think about. Wow. That's wild. I found some statistics on teaching and education that I thought would be super cool if you're a numbers gal. So this says, according to a 2024 survey, 81% of teachers reported having at least one student who relies on them for essentials like food, hygiene items, or school supplies. Some sad ones. A 2024 poll found that 44% of K-12 teachers reported feeling burnt out often or always. Teachers reported working 9 hours more per week than similar working adults, but earning about $18,000 less in base pay on average. In 2024, 14% of teachers considered leaving the profession within the next year. And 49% of teachers described student behavior at their school as fair or poor, indicating additional challenges in classroom management. One thing I would love to do is be a researcher in education. I think that would be so interesting. I would love that. Or just be a reading teacher and just teach kids how to read all day long. I would love that. Okay, so I decided to end this segment with a game where if you are not in education, I want you to see if you can follow these sentences. We have a lot of acronyms in what we do in education. So, we're going to see if you can kind of follow these sentences, like what they're about. So, the first one says, after analyzing the latest MAP and STAR data, our PLC decided to implement a tiered RTI model to support our SPED and ELL populations. So I'll give you some time to think. Okay, so the MAP and STAR tests are our end of the year standardized testing. A PLC is like your grade level team, professional learning community. RTI is response to intervention. And then SPED is special education, and ELL is English language learners. So basically saying, after analyzing our end of the year data, our grade level team decided to implement responses to intervention. So like decided to reteach some things to support our special education and English language learners. Okay, our second one is during the PD on Tuesday, we'll be reviewing IEP compliance checklists, discussing FERPA protocols, and finalizing our CFA schedule for Q4. Give you some time to think. So that means, during the PD, that's professional development, which is like after school meetings. On Tuesday, we will be reviewing IEP compliance checklists. So that's individualized education plans, discussing FERPA protocols. FERPA is Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And finalizing our CFA schedule for quarter 4. So I don't remember what CFA stands for, but it's basically like a quiz that is created by the district. Okay. Next one. Okay, we have 2 more. Our new SEL initiative incorporates CASEL's 5 competencies and leverages PBIS strategies to improve Tier 1 classroom climate. All right. Our new SEL initiative, so SEL is social emotional learning, incorporates CASEL's 5 competencies. CASEL is just a it's called the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. So it's a nonprofit organization that promotes social and emotional learning. So our new SEL initiative, Social Emotional Learning, incorporates CASEL's 5 competencies and leverages PBIS, which is Positive Behavior Intervention Strategies, to improve Tier 1 classroom climate, which is Tier 1 is everybody. And then we have our last one that says, based on the latest data from the BOY assessment and our ESSER-funded tech audit, we're piloting a 1-to-1 Chromebook rollout in all Title I schools. I'll give you some time to think. All right, so based on the latest data from BOY assessment, so that's beginning of the year assessment, and our ESSER-funded tech audit, I don't remember what ESSER stands for. Oh, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. So that was because of COVID. So they're a COVID fund, like the funding for that job was from COVID. So this tech audit person, their job was created because of the pandemic. We're piloting a 1-to-1 Chromebook rollout. So that means 1 Chromebook per student. It's like theirs for the whole year. In all Title I schools. And Title I schools are schools with like a very high free and reduced lunch population, which is just poverty. So yeah. Guys, I don't know if that was fun for anyone except for teachers. But there was actually some in here that I don't know what they are. Like SLOs and PDP and Teach Point, SAP, ILT. I don't know what that is. Crazy. But there's a lot that goes into teaching. And if you know a teacher, tell them you love them and buy them some chocolate. So anyway, that is all for my breaking news segment. For my third wheel segment, guys, I decided that I want to just share stories from the past that I thought were funny of past dates, since right now I'm not really wanting to share what's going on in my romantic life. I'm probably will share next time. At least when I'm comfortable with sharing. So let's see. I think I'm gonna share my first date experience. Now, if you're my first boyfriend and you're listening, which that would be crazy. Sorry I didn't ask you before, but I'm not gonna say your name. So, only certain people will know. And honestly, those people already probably know the story. So, I didn't have my first boyfriend till I was 20. And it used to be something that was like kind of like I talked about in my body neutrality episode. I was really confused. I was like, I look in the mirror and I see someone who's really hot, but then like society doesn't really reflect that. Like men don't reflect that back to me. Like they're not really giving me attention. And so it was confusing for me growing up. So this all started with this guy that I had met. We'll call him Jay. He was an RA at the freshman boys dorm, and I was an RA at the girls freshman dorm. And we had met at an RA event. I think we were prepping for like the dance or something. And he was trying to make us laugh, and I was like, oh, he's just one of those guys who just makes everybody laugh. Then he ran for King of Hearts, and he was the boys dorm representative, and his talent was to dress up like Freddie Mercury and lip sync to his songs. And so my best friend that I had in college at that point, we'll call her E. She was like, I love Freddie Mercury. And then she's like, I think I have a crush on him. So then I'm trying to get E and J to like hang out. So like I like totally am like her wing woman, and I'm like trying to get them to like talk, sit by each other at the calf, all these things. Well, I realized that he is actually in this other friend group, and my friend who just came back from working at Disney World, we'll call her A. She was dating this guy, we'll call him P. A was dating P, and P was friends with J. And their whole friend group, like they had this big guys group, and they were all in it together. So then I'm like, oh, if I hang out with A with E, then we can get E and J together, and we can like get them to talk and hang out. So that was my plan. So we started doing that. So we worked so hard to get E and J together that we went to Salvador City. Me and E decided to go to Salvador City with J, and then he brought his friend T. So me, E, J, and T, we all go to Salvador City. And we're like trying to get him and J and E to talk, and I'm like, ooh, I think T is cute and like all this stuff. Well, that didn't really work out. And I found out was dating this other girl. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. It fizzled out real quick. So then me and T and J all worked the summer together. The summer after our junior year. I think. No. The summer after our sophomore year? Yes. Because I went to England and I came back and they're like, why didn't you get us souvenirs? And it was funny. And so we worked the summer together and we got closer because like there was less of our friend group on campus. So we started hanging out more. And I had told Jay that I was like, I think I want to watch all the Marvel movies. And he was like, I'm going to give you the login to this like illegal website that I use to watch movies for free. This is before Disney Plus. This is right before Disney Plus happened. So I was like, deal. So he got me this login, and then he's like, well, honestly, that sounds really fun. Can we just do it together? And I was like, sure. So E is not on campus. She's back home. And now me and Jay are spending a lot of time together watching these movies. And we're on our Christian campus, and I did not spend any alone time with boys. So I am like, wow, I'm like, we weren't even close to each other. We were like on opposite ends of the couch, but this was felt very intimate because I didn't have guy friends. Like, I didn't know, like, it just felt kind of weird. And so I'm like, I would ask him questions about Marvel, and like, he would have all the answers. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. And you know how I'm into Marvel now. Like, I have to give all the props to Jay for getting me into Marvel because like I would have never touched it with a 10-foot pole if it wasn't for him. And what's funny is that we had a conversation as like our big friend group, and someone asked him, would you date a girl if she wasn't into Marvel and Star Wars? And he was like, oh, I would get her into Marvel and Star Wars. So now I'm watching all these movies with him, and I thought about that. I was like, weird. And then so we're watching all these movies, and I'm kind of like falling for him a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, E likes him, and now I like him. I'm like, oh no. So then she comes back in the fall, and everybody comes back in the fall, and I had to break it to her. I was like, I like Jake. I like Jay. And she was not very happy with me. Um, and we just kind of stopped hanging out, and I regret that a lot. And so it's the fall of junior year, and me and Jay are inseparable. We're going to lunch every day together. We are watching these movies all the time. Now he's getting me into like Batman and Star Wars and Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones. I mean, like any movie you can think of. John Wick, that was like important. He was showing it to me. And people are starting to kind of like whisper about us, like, are they gonna start dating? And now I'm like really into him. I am like, oh no. I really like this boy, and I don't think he likes me. Because he would say stuff like, I don't like you. I'm like, okay, like, that's fine. And we would Snapchat all the time. We'd always park next to each other. I'd prank him, like he would prank me back. Oh my gosh, one time, I forgot about this. One time in college, this is when we were still friends, I think. Oh, no, 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 this is when we were dating. One time, so in front of the freshman dorm that he lived in, there grew they grew peppers. Like little tiny skinny long peppers. And so Jay is Hispanic. I think there was always this like joke that we didn't know what ethnicity he was. I'm pretty sure he was Hispanic. But I was like, "Oh my god, I know how to prank Jay." So I don't remember who I was with, but me and somebody, we we plucked all of these peppers off of these like these little plants, and we convinced, I think his name started with an E. I'm pretty sure. We convinced another RA to put them in his bed. I texted him. It was like, you feeling spicy or something stupid. And I cannot believe I forgot that story. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I would prank him all the time. I thought it was so funny. So anyway, so we're getting closer. People are like, are you guys gonna start dating? I'm like, I don't know, I really like him. And then we go on then his birthday hits. Right before Christmas break, his birthday hits. And I'm like, I have to throw him a party. Because this boy has said that he's never had a birthday party, and I can't live with that. So I throw him this huge surprise party. I get a bunch of people to come. We like basically get some guys to like I'm trying to think. I think I told him we are gonna watch a movie or something. But yeah, I want to say he walked in and the boys just like picked him up. These boys were so physical all the time. They were always fighting, but like play fighting, and like they would like it. This is when I started realizing like, okay, boys are fun. Like they're just such like kids. They would do like human pyramids and stuff, and they would fight, and oh my god, it was so fun. Anyway, so I wish I could go back to my junior year. Fall of 2019 was the best like 4 months of my entire life. Um, so yeah, we walk in the door, and I had decorated the place to look like that birthday party from The Office, where it's like, this is your birthday party or something like that, and they have like brown balloons that are like halfway blown up. And the boys like lifted him up and did like had him like crowd surf and stuff, and he was like, so like, what is going on? And we were like playing games and stuff, and I just kind of kept seeing him look at me, like stare at me. And I'm like, okay, it's because I straightened my hair and I look really, really good right now. And like, also, he should appreciate me because I threw this whole thing together. And at this point, everyone's like, you need to be his girlfriend. And so then we go on Christmas break. And over Christmas break, it was New Year's Eve, and he called me, I think, and like said that he missed me. But I was like, he misses me. Like, that's weird. And so I'm like, okay, I think something's happening. So then we both get back on campus, and I want to say it's like still like a week before classes start. Like, we both happen to work that work week or something. And he was like, we need to hang out tonight. And I'm like, okay. So I typed up everything that happened because I knew that I never wanted to forget this moment. So Jay walked me back to my dorm, and I reminded him that we still had to watch 13 Going on 30 because he pinky promised me last semester that we would watch my favorite movie because we had been watching all his favorite movies. I asked if we could watch it tonight, and he said yes. So we watched the movie in his dorm's lounge. During the movie, a character said, "Isn't it so hard when the guy you like never likes you back?" And Jacob looked me in the eyes and said, "Yeah, I feel that way every single day." And I was like, what? He got really into the movie and actually liked it. Then afterward, we talked for a while, and he kept staring at me, and I kept saying, "What are you staring at?" Then we did some staring contests, and it was kind of weird. Then afterward, we talked for a while. While we were talking outside my dorm room, I said that we should take a picture to commemorate this moment of him watching my favorite movie. So we took a picture of us. It's like I knew, dude. Then after that, he saw a girl through the door of my girl's dorm hall. He saw a girl walking around with no pants on in the dorm. He got so freaked out, he started looking at the stars. Like, la la la, I didn't just see that. I said, I wonder if I can find the Big Dipper. He said, we'll never find it if we don't get away from that big streetlight. Let's go down to the point, which is like the lookout point. Then we walked down there and he found it. After telling him I hadn't found it yet, he stood really close behind me and pointed with his arms over my shoulders, trying to get me to find it. Kind of like guys do when they're showing a girl how to play pool. Like, that's the same thing. So after telling him I hadn't found it yet, he's still really close behind me and points with his arms over my shoulders, trying to get me to find it. I told him I still couldn't find it because I literally didn't see it. Then I kept looking up, trying to find the constellation, and I could tell that he had moved away a little bit and that he was looking at me. But I kept looking at the stars because I was afraid that if I looked at him, he would chicken out and not confess his feelings for me. But then I heard him say, "Ellie, I have something to tell you, but it's hard for me to talk about." Oh! I literally, little Ellie's heart is like beating out of my chest right now. But then I heard him say, "Oh." But I kept looking up because I was afraid he was going to tell me that he had feelings for another girl. But then, when he said, "I like you," like a lot, I looked down at him and bit my lip to hold back a smile. Then he kept talking. I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to try this out or go on a date with me. Oh my gosh. This boy is still like, he makes me smile because it was just so, like, this night was so precious. My heart stopped and I couldn't breathe because it didn't seem real. It still felt like something I had played in my head over and over if I was bored. Then I said, I'm really scared, but yes, I would love to. Then he said, cool. And he walked me back to my dorm. Then I apologized for sending him mixed signals and told him that I tend to friend zone people when I start to like them because I'm afraid of rejection. And then he said he didn't ever feel friend zoned. I was like, okay. And then he said, or no, I said, so when are we doing this? He said, I honestly haven't planned it yet, so I'm not sure. Then I punched him in the arm and said, well, it's time to start planning. He said he had never done this before, and I told him not to worry because I hadn't either. Then we got back to my dorm, and I said, well, I'm going to tell him now. Bye! And I was afraid I was going to burst. I said, I'm scared and nervous, but honestly excited. I don't know what I'm going to do when I hang out with him in our group because only we know things have changed and we're not planning on telling people yet. Even though I've told lots of people. We'll just see where this goes. Mom is worried, but everyone else is very happy for me. This night just felt so magical. And so that was really long. But I don't know. That relationship went up in flames. I think I talked about it a little bit in my body neutrality episode. But I just genuinely have so much love in my heart for little Ellie and like the fact that I got that moment because like truly it felt like it's just such a fairy tale moment for me. I kind of told it like the way I told it, you may not get the same vibes as like how I felt in that moment, but it was like just the way that like we watched my favorite movie, then we went and looked at the stars, and like he told me while we were looking at the stars, and like it just felt very it was not how it is now, where it's like you swipe right on a dating app or you know, you get a DM in your Instagram. Like it just felt so real. Like two best friends falling in love. And you know, I really wish that or I hope that How I Meet My Husband is the same way because that just feels real. It feels like how it's supposed to happen. And I don't know. I just savor that like that like thinking about Inside Out, like that night is a moment that is like a core memory for me. And I may have said it before on this podcast, but like genuinely I kind of wish I was still friends with Jay because of me loving Marvel so much now, and I genuinely have questions. Like I wish I could just text him and be like, "Hey, why is this happening in this movie?" But I'm like, I don't want to be weird. Be like, "Hey, I know I'm your ex-girlfriend. We haven't talked to you in a while, but I have a question." Or like, I would love to go see a movie with him. Like see a Marvel movie because then we could like actually talk about it. And then I would actually have stuff to contribute, you know? Because back then it was very much like, oh, you don't know anything, so I'm just going to teach you everything. Which I thought was cute in the moment. But now I'm like, okay, no, I actually kind of know what's going on now. So yeah. Anyway, that was a lot on my first boyfriend, but yeah, it was a good time. It was very crazy, lots of tears, lots of fighting. We just weren't meant to be. But I'm glad it happened. And and me and E ended up reconciling after me and Jay broke up because you just gotta have your girls in the end. So we were never best friends again, but at least I knew that like I tried my best to really like patch things up. So So yeah. Anyway, what I've been watching. Guys, Thunderbolts was everything I wanted it to be. It was so good. Genuinely, like, after the movie, I only had one question. After the whole movie, like, I actually, like, understood what was going on. Every character was so fun. It just felt, like, simple. It was grounded. It was not, like, multiverse. It was not space and stuff, like, that's hard to understand. Like, it felt very, like, Guardians of the Galaxy to me. Like, misfits coming together and, like, joining as a team. It just was so good. I love Yelena and I love Alexei, and I love Sentry, Bob, the Void. Spoilers. But yeah, I am so excited to see them in Doomsday. I really, really hope we get a Thunderbolts too. Like, in the next 5 years, I think I need a Thunderbolts too. So yeah, loved it. 10 out of 10. I'm gonna spoil it here, so skip if you want to watch it and have not. Why the heck is Taskmaster in this movie? I don't understand. I get really freaked out when I see trailers that have Taskmaster, like, CGI put into scenes that this character's just not in. And I think the reason I'm freaked out by it so much is because Taskmaster never takes off her mask. And I'm like, she literally dies in the first, like, 20 minutes of the movie. And I'm like, I did not just buy a cup that has 6 Thunderbolts on it. Like, the asterisk is, like, it has all the different characters. Yelena, Alexei, Bucky, Ghost. What's his name? John something. The Captain America dude. That was only Captain America for just a little bit. Bob. And then Taskmaster. Why is Taskmaster on my cup? She was literally in the movie for 20 minutes and then died. She got like one line. I'm just confused by that. I don't understand that. And I'm really mad about it because the little figurine that I got to go on my cup was Taskmaster. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't care about this person. And I'm freaked out that she's on all of this branding, but she's not even in the movie. Like, no one even cares about Taskmaster. Like, she's barely in the Black Widow movie. Like, I don't know. I just am annoyed by that. I'm so annoyed. But I did find a t-shirt that did not have Taskmaster on it, and I really, really want it. I really, really want it. Off Etsy. So, anyway, that movie was phenomenal. I think I'm gonna have to buy a Fantastic Four shirt so I can wear it to the Fantastic Four movie that's coming out. I'm definitely seeing that as well. And then TV-wise, I finished New York season 7. Ugh. Now I'm forced to watch Candy's Big Ski Trip. I hate Candy's mother and her whole family. The way that Candy Burris' mother treats Todd is despicable. I hate her. And I hate the fact that Candy is on Real Housewives of Atlanta for so long. I'm like, get her off the show. I can't stand that mother. She's so evil. I can't stand it. So the fact that I have to watch Candy's Big Ski Trip, where it's literally just the two families coming together, I can't. I am just so annoyed. So I'm not really happy about that. I'm only like 1 episode in and I hate it. I think that's it. Me and a friend are going to Holy Smoke, which is a Christian music festival in Nashville in August. So I've added a crap ton of music to my playlist. Some of them being Glow, period. I really like his music. and some other people. So that's kind of all that's going on with me. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm so tired. It's 11 o'clock. It's a Tuesday night. I gotta get to bed. Alright guys, I'll see you guys next Saturday at 8 a.m.